Don't ruin your life. Start investing for retirement right now. At some point during the latter part of your life, you'll probably want to quit working and do whatever you want. Read books, travel, pursue a hobby or an intellectual interest. You will not want to quit working and be poor, trapped at home, and unable to afford any activities beyond watching television. Avoiding this state of affairs is what this advice item is all about. But we need to take a short terminology detour before continuing. An investment is a thing that generates income, profits, interest payments, rent payments, dividends, royalties, or it is something that increases in value or purchasing power over time, which could be land, rare paintings, precious metals, etc. Purchasing power is the ability of a thing to be traded for goods or services. The thing can be a paper Federal Reserve note, a coin, a certain quantity of precious metals, etc. The purchasing power of any of these things can increase or decrease over time. That is, the amount of goods and services that a given quantity of the thing can buy can change. A store of purchasing power, sometimes inaccurately called a store of wealth or a store of value, is a thing that maintains or increases its purchasing power over time. That is, it will buy about the same amount or more of goods and services in the future that it buys now. A store of purchasing power can be a specific item, such as a rare painting, a machine, or a tool, or it can be a substance, such as a precious metal like gold or silver. Wealth, whether speaking of a person or a nation, consists in those things necessary for supporting life or enhancing life. The supporting life category includes food, water, shelter, weapons, and medical supplies. The enhancing life category includes things that increase productivity or enable technological advancement, such as computers, vehicles, electronic communication, information, and so on. Wealth also includes the means to produce both categories of these things, such as farmland, tools, raw materials, and manufacturing machines or facilities. To visualize wealth, imagine a man on a desert island with only a pile of gold coins and nothing else, and another man on a similar desert island with food, water, and shelter. The man with the food, water, and shelter has wealth. The man with the gold does not. He has potential purchasing power, but not wealth. He has actual purchasing power only if his island is visited by someone who will accept his gold in exchange for food, water, etc., and perhaps transportation back to civilization. Value is a thing's subjective worth or utility, subjective meaning based on opinion. The thing can be a physical object, information, a relationship, an action, an invention, just about anything. Because value is based on opinion, it can vary with time, place, culture, and technological development. A buggy whip could have value for people living in Boston in 1875, but probably zero value for people living in present-day Boston. A desktop computer might have value for a Houston apartment dweller, but zero value for a native inhabitant of New Guinea. Even for people living at the same time, in the same place and culture, a thing can have a great value to one person, but no value to another. For example, a letter written by an ancestor might have value for a descendant of that person, but be considered worthless by everyone else. Inflation, in the economic sense, is the government-created increase, that is, the swelling or inflation, of government-created currency units available in a society's economy. Don't be confused or misled. The rise in prices for goods and services is the result of inflation, not the cause. Fiat currency is a form of money created by a government. A fiat is an official decree, order, or command, generally one issued by a government. Transactions between the U.S. Treasury Department and the Federal Reserve System are used to decree into existence increases in the present-day currency of the United States, which is the Federal Reserve Note, or FRN. U.S. law further decrees that Federal Reserve Notes, FRNs, are legal tender. That is, something you are legally required to accept as payment for debts, goods, or services. Trillions of FRNs are continually created, literally from nothing more than words and numbers entered into computers, and are then injected into the U.S. economy. Historically, currency created from nothing has always eventually become worth nothing. As an instructive side note, many people don't know what the number 1 trillion represents mathematically, and undoubtedly most people can't conceive how large it is in terms of things. To illustrate this, ask yourself or another person what year it was 1 trillion seconds ago. Go ahead and make a quick guess. Was it 1930? Maybe 1870? No. 1 trillion seconds ago, it was about 30,000 BC. A trillion is a lot, and at the present time, the U.S. government has current official liabilities, that is, it owes to buyers of U.S. Treasury securities somewhere between $30 and $40 trillion, on which it is currently paying interest. It's anyone's guess how this is going to end up. To continue with the advice, start investing for retirement right now. Currently, a typical bank savings account pays an insignificant interest rate, lacks any special tax advantages, and has no features that counteract inflation. Because of this, a typical savings account is continually losing purchasing power. If you just leave it alone and don't add to it, then every month the funds in the account will buy less food, clothing, equipment, or services. To illustrate this, consider that in 1971, the U.S. Federal Reserve note, so-called dollar, previously redeemable in gold by foreign countries and redeemable in silver dollars by anyone at your local bank until the mid-1960s, was disconnected from precious metals and became a pure fiat currency. Since that time, the Federal Reserve note dollar has lost well over 90% of its purchasing power. Whatever your current age, to lessen the chance of ending up old and poor, I believe it's a good idea to start putting as much money as possible into any or all of the following. 1. Assets that remain stable or adjust upward in purchasing power. This can include real estate, sources of crucial commodities such as food and other raw materials, sources of energy used to power transportation and infrastructure, precious metals, more on that later, etc. 2. Stocks, also called shares or equities, of companies whose business involves any of the previously mentioned items, or of companies dealing in societally necessary technology. You can also put money into 3. Your personal education in a societally necessary service or trade, such as, but not limited to, agriculture, healthcare, transportation, construction, or infrastructure maintenance, electrician, plumber, appliance repair, etc. As a temporary measure to store currency while waiting to invest it, you can buy shorter-term U.S. Treasury-issued securities or shorter-term certificates of deposit issued by FDIC-insured banks or credit unions. The interest paid by these paper investments will lessen the continual loss in purchasing power of your Federal Reserve notes. Some U.S. citizens have the option of putting a part of their salary into government-created retirement accounts such as an IRA, a 401k, or a 403b. A potential serious downside of such government-monitored accounts is that the rules controlling them may not suit your current needs, your future plans, or your assessment of future events. Moreover, the current rules may be arbitrarily changed in ways that negatively affect you. I'm mentioning such accounts as a possibility in case you don't have a better option. Consult with an expert before acting. Let me remind you that this item of advice is not start saving for retirement right now, by which I mean simply piling up either digital funds in a bank account or paper currency in a shoebox hidden in your closet. The advice is to start investing. And finally, I remind you that I am not a licensed or official financial advisor of any kind. This is advice based on my own observations made during several decades of life on Earth. Do your own research or consult with a professional financial advisor if you wish.